We are just ready to begin. Do you want to put yours up there? And I'll put mine on the side. I'll
Oh,
put that up. Maybe I'll have yours in there.
Cool. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our talk today. We are talking about art as healing and healing as art, right?
That's right.
It was a topic we felt was important to talk about because we are a part of this community of painters. And we do have a healing approach that intentional creativity is built on that helps us to work through our thing that comes up,
Welcome in.
the things of life that happen to us, and how we can express who we are and grow from it, and how we can look at the pieces that we need to work on. So it's an approach that I think of healing that's really, really fabulous when you're in it and doing it. So welcome to the talk. We are, I'm Lauren Adorno-Weatherford, and I'm shaman, painter, healer, teacher, elder in the community of intentional creativity. And here at Musette Atelier Apothecary today with Vicchi, who's also, I'll let you talk about who you are, but you're one of the artist collective and art healer collective that we're in. So I'm happy to have you here with us tonight so that we can discuss the topic, and we're open to questions. Very happy to answer any questions. So Michelle, Vicchi.
Thank you. Great to be here. I love this topic, healer, artist, and the journey that I feel I have been offered an invitation last year. I've just been painting for a little over a year. And it's quite a discovery. I think what I like to just say right off is that it really opens up a relationship that I didn't even know was there. It's almost like introducing a whole sense of consciousness that you get to move around and discover and create, and then sometimes uncreate.
Yeah.
So I think that's that healer artist access is like when I create something beautiful, but then something else plops out. And isn't that how life has been? Or at least for me. And I really sort of stay north with the beauty thing. The other part of intentional creativity that really supported my way as a healer is that intentional creativity doesn't look for the wound.
Our other speaker just arrived, so get settled in. We'll continue.
Intentional creativity, it's more directed towards beauty and that inner beauty. And in my style of healing called embodied spirit work, I'm really focused on what is working. Where's the joy in the body? Where's the pleasure in your life? That type of thing. So intentional creativity, and when I started to learn from Shiloh in the classes, that was like, it swooped me towards, oh, this is going to work.
Yeah.
Because it is really geared towards whatever you're painting, it's an expression.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well,
Hi, Michelle. Come over.
high seat.
Let's see if we can get you in here.
Have a low seat.
I think we can get her
She's
in
gonna
there.
get it. Yeah, she's gonna get another chair. She goes
Okay,
to
cool.
the
She's
stool.
here.
So present. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're just introducing ourselves, and then we'll go through like a little bit of a presentation. So, Michelle,
Yeah.
Sorry to be joining late. Yeah, I only recently started identifying myself as an artist. And it was actually because my friend Julianne leads these intentional painting discussion groups. And in her groups, all of the other painters were professional painters making their living from painting. And yet I started to see in the discussions how committed I was to the process, to the painting itself, to the creative act. And so it really changed my perspective on myself to be able to identify as an artist. And, you know, I've been painting with Shiloh for years, but not identifying myself as a painter. And since that has happened, I do feel like that has taken me to a different and deeper level of integrating painting into my own healing practice. Because then in claiming that identity as a painter and then recognizing that the reason I paint is a part of this calling within myself to access emotion and to express desires and prayers and pieces that I'm working with in my own psyche. It brought together the capacity of painting as a, you know, as a healer. Like it made it real for me that, oh, this is something that I do, that I'm doing, that this is part of who I am. So, because otherwise I would just consider myself an astrologer or a mother, because those things are titles that I have a lot of recognition around. So this is a newer thing for me to explore consciously.
So I guess I'm the oldest of the crowd as far as
Yeah.
painters.
And you sold a painting really recently,
did.
which I
Yes,
saw
I
the
did.
certificate
Yes,
of
I did.
authenticity.
Yes, I did.
So
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. And that was one of the first year I had painted. So it's been 10 years now, or almost 13. I started in 2013. It's 2024. So that was
Wow.
one of the first paintings. So it feels really good. And it's very interesting how there's an evolution. And there's also a calling of other people to your work and what they're drawn to. That's fascinating. All the stories that happen
Wow,
when
yeah.
you create something. You're creating it, you have your experiences, and then the eye of the beholder is looking at that from a different lens, feeling maybe some of the stuff you put in there, maybe not. Maybe they're feeling something under the other layers that are not quite there anymore because they're hidden. Because, you know, we start with the blank canvas and then putting an intention or a prayer or words. We do that often when we begin the painting. After blessing it, doing all of these sacred things to make it real and tangible and have energy. So somebody looking at our work may be seeing some or sensing or feeling something from that.
Like to just say about that, Lauren,
Yes.
is I do a painting jam and social once a month. And so this group has been with me third month. And I, you know, one of my commitments is to move more into a teacher and less a student. Of course, you're always learning.
Yeah.
Because last Friday, as I was teaching, I was learning something about reminding the students that the marks that they had put on were intentional, and that it was reflecting back to them, that it was, so it was like a mirror image, and it would make that conscious because it was coming from an unconscious. And that also, I think, one is the gift of intentional creativity. Like,
Yeah, that's the magic. That's what surprises us
Right
every
there.
time.
right there, I mean, hands down. It's and teaching it like that to the students, they really got so much more love for what they were up to and what they were doing and how they were engaging themselves. Instead of just passing it by like, oh, it's like, no, this is this is what you put on there, really powerful.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Yeah.
it is. And it's true. When you teach, you learn. You really do. You learn so much.
Mhm.
You know, when you're a mom, you learn. Your kids, your
Yeah.
kids teach you more than you care to know sometimes.
Right.
So tonight we actually have brought paintings or a painting, a few paintings that we wanted to share with our audience and talk about that painting and maybe some of the lessons or things we learned about ourselves through it or whatever. So it's going to be an open discussion about it. Okay, so this was created during 2020, and it was Shiloh's course called Artifact,
Mhm.
and it completely surprised me because I had never done anything like this before. I had done several other like faces and other paintings, but this it felt like a new process or a new me was coming forth with this. Really felt like this was a new me coming out. And, you know, this was the COVIDian era time when we were hanging out in our homes mostly and doing a lot of online stuff, you know, and not going places and hanging out with other people. So I felt like it was a very internal process that happened while I was working on this painting. Then also all of the things that were happening in America with the George Floyd murder, that happened during that time. And for the first time for me, I felt like I really wanted to understand my own Blackness, that I proud to be Afro-Latina, all of these things. I was raised that way, all of that was there. But there was something that shifted as a result of seeing what happened and what was happening in the country and being sequestered in our own homes and all of those things. So I was looking really as myself as an artifact. Who am I? Who is this being that lives in this world and these horrific things happen? How do I grapple with all of that? That was all in here. But the internal part was going in and looking at my own Blackness. And I called this diving deeper into Blackness, this painting. That's what I called it because it was what I felt the first time I was looking at myself, you know, as a Black human in the world. And I also wanted to explore some of the native, like Taino culture from the island of Puerto Rico. They're the indigenous culture that lived there. I wanted to find out more about that. So I began to do research and explore. And I had brought up these images, different images that are hiding behind there and here. And these were actual like petroglyphs that were carved in stone in caves that were on the island. So I had not known about them. I didn't know what they meant. I didn't know what they were. So I decided to explore that and put them into the painting. And then the big Ankh, which is Mother Africa to me, that represents all of it. And she's on a pedestal in the waters with Atabe, who is the one who gives birth to all things. That was the image that Atabe, and she's like a frog woman. And that was also an artifact that was in the caves. And then this one is like this bird figure. And then there's like this, there's a face that looks like it could be a sun or moon with spirals around it. And then there's also this little face and other ones are all behind it. And then the rest of this came about as I was painting. This is representing all of community and ancestors, basically, that I wanted to represent in that, because I felt like I was connecting with them in a way that I had not through painting and honoring the legacy of my DNA and where I'm from and all of that. So I had that put in there. And there's two beings here, this one on the outside, a
Mhm.
profile, and then this one, and I started out with this one. And then as it went along and the layers of colors came, I began to see that this was another one.
Mhm.
And this became like the language of our ancestors, and we carry them through and we speak through them and we remember who we are. And it's like a cyclical thing that happened. And this was all like language that wanted to come out. So I was making language, whatever meaning it has for me or anybody else. And then the stars, of course. And then this big old headdress, like these kind of like the long dreadlocks of this curly haired being. This is the outer person's hair and this is the inner person's hair,
Mhm.
came out to be like that. It just evolved and became this at the end. And I learned so much about myself. I learned that I'm deeper than I think I am.
Mhm.
When we look at ourselves, we really understand that. So that was, I would say, what I learned from this artifact painting.
Mhm.
Any questions, comments,
Mhm.
How long did it take? you?
insights? This artifact was some months, I want to say, but I can't recall if it was like 5 months, if it was a 3-month process, I can't remember.
So when you started out, like, you just started out with thinking you were gonna put symbols on there and one
Symbols,
human.
I didn't know what I was gonna do when I started out. And most of the times I don't know what I'm gonna do when I start. It's just the intention that was set, and I most likely put a beautiful intentional prayer. I have photographed my work, so I can look at them, but I haven't done it right now to recall what I wrote underneath. But I'm sure it was related to everything that I wanted to bring out because this is the end product. So
Mhm.
I was surprised when all of this happens. So yeah,
It's beautiful.
Mhm.
thank you,
Mhm.
thank you.
Love the layering.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
and that's when you can work over a period of time, because you have to let things dry. And
Mhm.
sometimes you're gonna lose something that you might have liked, and you have to have that surrender to let go, because
Mhm.
it happens, and sometimes we get attached to it, that we don't want to move on.
Mhm.
So we put it aside and we make another one.
Mhm.
That's what happens often. So we got to learn about who we are in that way too. Should I just start over and start a new one because I love this one so much? For me, I keep going. I just keep going and I keep going and I keep going, because I've learned how to surrender
Mhm.
to the pain and to the spirit and the energy of the painting. I just have learned over the years how to let go. And I photograph everything. So I have the image. I
Right.
could replicate that image if I wanted to. It's
Mhm.
there. But oftentimes I want to know what it could be if I didn't start something new. I just want to know. So that's
Beautiful.
this painting.
Mhm.
Thank you.
From this position first.
Okay.
And say is that, to just paint from, okay, an empty canvas, to me takes a lot.
Mhm.
And what's so helpful when you engage in a class with Shiloh in intentional creativity is that there's warm up and prompts, like, and that's also part of the beauty is that you do feel connected and in community, not only with, the portal that you're gonna paint, but also like the people that are in the class together. And that to me was like really the icebreaker, because like, okay, go write your book. Like a prompt really helped me.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to kind of put that into the mix.
Yeah.
Because for people who are interested, like, how do you start? It's like that whole thing, right? Yeah, you smile on whatever. So, sure, I was going through like why I chose these three pictures, these three paintings, and this one here is the first painting that I ever painted. This is the legend last year, and I signed up with Musea because I was taking a trip to Tonga to swim with the humpbacks. I was like, I need to prepare for this. So I had met Shiloh and the community and saw, oh, there's a painting thing on it. That'd probably be good for me to warm up to. So I painted the legend Archeo Futura, right? And so this is my first painting, never painted before. I cried when I started this because I was wanting to get to this. And during Stella Max and Shiloh's and Andrew's and Jonathan's initial live stream, Andrew was talking about 24 years ago, and he was like talking and teaching into the class. And I remembered that I had moved back to Philadelphia 24 years ago to start an art school.
Do you remember that? After
During-
4 years.
Yes, during the class, as I started to paint, literally, I was like, why am I crying? And I remember that it was a blue back. This was, white, but I had painted blue on it, and then I had gotten the red and put a red mark on it, and that was it for me. I just started to cry because everything was coming together, and it was the red thread, and it just was like, oh my God, I remember I had all my stuff into art school, but my mother was diagnosed with cancer. So here we are, right? Like 25 years later. So this is my first painting. This is my Star of Singularity. I was born under a solar eclipse, new moon. And they here, this is my north node, north and south node. This here, the face was there from the very early parts of the painting. And I thought, oh, well, that's going to change, but it just hung in there. And my ego didn't want it black. So I was like, I painted it like turquoise once. And then I'm like, doesn't want to be turquoise. And then it was like bronze. And it was like, no, they want to be black.
Yeah.
To match the dark moon, the divine feminine, and these here, right, are temples to my embodied spirit work. So as I drew, I wrote a whole curriculum around this. Yeah. So this was my get ready for.
Wait a minute. I have a
Wait,
question.
wait, don't
Oh,
leave it yet. Got 2 questions.
yeah, go for it.
Did you know that you wanted to make, it looks in the middle, it almost looks like a burst of all these different light and color. Did that evolve to be that, or did you always want it to look like that?
Again, because I was in this outstanding class, we were painting our singularity. So it was the big evolution bang,
When you started.
right? Right, and how it formed online is different than everybody else's, right? But here's the thing, like, I've always admired that type of, in anything, I'm like, I'm gonna do that.
That's what I'm going through right now.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you get to. So, there's just really a lot of encouragement And it's not from the class, it's from the field. Like it's already there. You literally are like saying like, I'm really like with the full moon, like I so feel like it's right there. Like Karen, the palette is right there for you. So this was me getting ready for Tonga. Right?
Yeah.
Thank you. And then this was my trip
Ooh.
of Tonga. When I came home, I started in her image. I think this was in her image.
Mm.
And this, again, like you don't know, but you're feeling it. And so this emerged. This is the island of Uwavia, Tonga. And when you're flying above it, you see all the coral reefs. And Tonga is made up of 171 islands. So this was Uwavia where we stayed. It's 9 miles around. And when you look above it, it looks like a whale.
Very cool.
So we walked this island a number of times. I was there close to 3 weeks. It was like nothing you could ever explain.
Yeah.
Number one, because I was with the whales. I was in the Pacific Ocean, like the South Pacific. And I did have a very stressful panic attack that I had to recover from. So, and again, like that was a portal, like I had to go through that. Just a little bit about what had happened is that it was our first swim in, so you're in a 15-foot little gizmo boat, and it was pouring down raining, and it was sideways. And there was 5 to 6 foot swells with rain. And this is my first time, so, like, it's just like a little guppy, go ahead. And it literally like, it's like, what is going on with me, like, I knew where I was, but there was just, everything went. And all I really knew is that I had to get rescued, so I put my arm up, they came and they're like, what's going on? I said, I don't know. Well, I got in the boat and I was like, they're like, oh, you're really cold. And I go, I'm having a panic attack. And my body just shook and shook for about 5 hours. Yeah, it was really, I really did feel like the universe was like, go experience a bigger life. And I kept on saying, no, I like comfort, So,
So it was life changing.
it was life-changing. That was one end of it. I was practicing my Kriya there, and I saw my biophotonic energy around my body, like night after night. It was very, like, I literally was like, am I seeing things? And then I was like, you are seeing things. And so, you really
Yeah.
do like emit this bluish
Yeah.
light.
Yeah.
That is around the whale, and everything was just emanating. And so, pair that with a panic attack on a remote island with other people that are freaked out that you have COVID, like could have been messy. The last thing I want to say about this is that there's where I really got how we're floating all together on this huge island called Earth, and that we absolutely need one another, even though we have complete maybe differences. you know, like I was on this island and was not doing well. And I had to reach out and ask for help. And, you know, they were fearful that I was really sick with COVID, and I kept on saying, no, I'm just going through a panic attack. So that's that. This is
So,
my
wow.
guardian painting from my 6-month class with Shiloh. And a complete super surprise, you know, so you see the iterations. And then what had happened with this. This is the guardian of the holistic healing arts. The thing I want to just end with is that the prompt on this that got the figure in there was not draw a figure. It was put a lot of paint and put one consistent line on your, welcome in. Hello. Hi. On your canvas. And so I did with your eyes closed, because it's usually with your eyes closed. And you're like, you want to look. And this is what got painted.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
intentional creativity, you know, the last thing I want to say about the artist healer is that when I was just a healer, I felt like my work was I felt like an artist, because, you know, like when you're dealing with people and ourselves who are sometimes in a predicament, you have to get creative.
Yeah.
You know, because the laws in the book don't always work,
Yeah.
because that's not how it got wired in or the situation happened. So yeah, so I felt like intentional creativity gave me and offered an invitation of bringing that healer artist out. You know, it's another dimension of being a healer, I think. Yeah. So thank you.
Fantastic. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And this is called The Guardian?
This is called Neoha.
Leo.
Neoha.
Neo.
New breath.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Breathing.
Yeah.
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 New breath.
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, I love those eyes too. Amazing.
Yeah. So cool.
The red in there too.
Yeah, I know the red thread. No, it shows up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So one of the things, you know, in terms of finding our own pathway as a artist or as a healer, when I entered into painting with Shiloh, she does such a brilliant job, beautiful job of teaching how to paint the female form or the female face especially. And many, many times I have tried to paint the female face and never found that it works for me. And I struggled with that for a long time. And then I started to realize that what I felt to paint was this form. And it's really become a signature form for me. This pregnant belly with the heart of the babe connected to the heart of the woman and the breast. And when I really embraced that was the image that was representative of my soul that wanted to reveal itself on almost every painting, not every painting, but many. In sometimes she's very tiny, you know, sometimes she's tucked away, but this is one of my favorites because there's, you know, with each of my children, there was always this starting with a prayer. The child began with a prayer. And this painting begins with a prayer. This is one of the few paintings of mine where you can actually see parts of the prayer because I didn't completely cover it. And in my feeling, it almost gives this painting a little bit of like a work in progressness. Like maybe it's not done, but it feels done. And most of my prayers are entirely covered or the intention for the painting is entirely covered, and in this prayer, it's still quite visible in many ways. And then embracing that this form, she wants to be there because she continues to hold this prayer. As I was saying before, each of my children have been a prayer. My first son was really like the culmination of a year-long vision quest about the question of what it would be to just become a mother. I was 31 years old. I didn't know if I wanted to have children. I had been an only child. I had had a lot of trauma in my childhood and I still felt a lot of hatred towards my mother, and just like a lot of difficulty with the concept of motherhood. And so with him, there was this prayer and this question of like, is this really even a calling of mine? And then my first daughter was a prayer after my divorce for another child, but it was really this calling for a healing, for like a return to partnership. And she came very unexpectedly, but really brought something into my life that I had been praying for a long time. And then my second daughter was a prayer for a healing birth. I had had a traumatic C-section with my first child, and then a spontaneous free birth with my second child. So I'd never had a birth really on my own terms, the way that I wanted. I wanted to birth in a bathtub. I had these disappointments around how long my first labor took. And, it was like 31 hours with my son, with a lot of medical intervention. And so my third child was this prayer for a healing birth, and she was born in 2 hours in a bathtub in one of the most peaceful, not painful. I didn't have any resistance in me to my body doing what it was designed to do. And I carry prayers, I carry prayers in my heart to this day that I just continue to use the expression of art, of painting, the canvas, to continue to move those prayers in my life. And for whatever reason, I'm like thinking, am I gonna, like, is my path as a healer to become a midwife or I've free birthed 2 children on my own now, and there's this whole movement of free birth matriarchal, am I gonna do postpartum care? I don't actually know what my calling is yet. I still remain, I have an unanswered prayer around my birth experience that I continue to hold up to Creator, and so I know there can be a child that brings a great healing, and I think what I want to express really is that the art is the healing, and regardless of whether our prayers are answered in the ways that we desire, or what, like Vicchi's story about the experience, you can have all these beliefs about how we're supposed to experience life, and then there's what we're given. And the art is the healing. It is the literal act of transmuting the experience of life into a healing. And so this has become one of my favorite paintings. Yeah. And I think, this is the feminine face that I carry.
Right.
And she will continue to show up probably everywhere for me. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, because sometimes it is not a face and it's not supposed to be a face. So
Yeah.
you got there and
Yeah.
get it. So
Yeah.
that's so beautiful.
And I'm like, I don't know whether she'll ever have a face or, but I love that she's got hair, long hair and big boobies. And, she's got this beautiful connection.
Yeah.
So I'll share lastly, the one thing I love about intentional creativity is all of the things that I create that are unintentional. To me, that is the best part. There are strokes, there's stains from the water. There are strokes that were accidental. There are things that I did with my fingers. I will often paint with my fingers. So there are finger marks. There are brush strokes. There are places where the paint becomes one with the other colors. And it has absolutely nothing to do with me or my skill or my talent. And to me, that's like the work of God.
Yeah.
It's the same way that a rose bush makes the most beautiful roses, even if you don't water them, I have these rose bushes behind my house. I pay no attention to them whatsoever. They do their thing every year. They're happy. Like this unintentionality, like we think we have so much control over life and that we're doing things and we are making things. And yes, we are all creators and we all make things. But to me, the most magical parts of my paintings are always the things that I didn't make happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, that is beautiful.
Do you have one more you want to share?
Oh, yeah, I have one other one, that's right. This one has a story. And it really is a story that speaks to everybody without even words, right?
It's so
Image.
It's so different. from the
Just-
last one.
This was a commission. Or is a commission.
Wow.
Somebody asked me to paint this painting for them. They had an image. And asked me to create a woman in a bottle. And so she said she wanted hummingbird, woman in the bottle, and she wanted the rosary beads.
Wow.
Those were the things that she required or asked for to be in the painting. And the story of how we met by complete accident, but obviously it's the red
Never.
thread pulling us.
Never.
I'm in the hairdresser, sitting in the chair, getting my hair snipped and getting ready to pay. The next person sits down into the chair, random person I'd never ever met before. I'm talking to the person that's doing the hair, her shop, and I see all these wall space and I'm asking, do you need any paintings? I can hang some paintings or I can finish painting that piece of the wall that's still half painted and I haven't had time. Yeah, maybe. And so, okay, let's look at I'll show you what I have. So I'm showing her, the other woman sat in the chair. I went to go paint. Then I'm showing her because she's starting to work the paintings. So they're both looking at the paintings. And the woman that's in the chair starts weeping,
Oh.
and she says, I've been praying to find an artist because I have this image that I need to be painted. And I'm not a painter. And I've been looking. And as soon as she said that, I knew. And I said, okay, let's exchange information. And I said, I've never painted for somebody else before. I don't do that kind of work normally. However, there's something here. I could feel it. She could feel it. And so we collaborated and we met and she shared her story. And this is the end result of
That's
that.
amazing.
She comes from a religious background and lost her faith. Lost her faith. She had a child that died. And after that happened, she put herself into a bottle. Figurative one and a literal one. For 10 years.
It's a
She
common.
met me as she's starting to come out.
It's a common phrase, you bottle up your emotions.
Yes. Yes. As I was painting her, she had asked me to like paint her sideways or forward. And every time I came to the canvas to draw it out, like chalk it out, there was like a hit in me that kept saying, nope, nope,
Yeah.
nope, So I got on the phone and I texted her and I said, listen, I'm at the place where I've made her several different ways in the bottle. But this has to be the way it is. She has to have her back. She has been so broken, she cannot face anybody, she cannot face the world, she cannot turn around to see anything.
Mhm.
Is it okay? And she couldn't even talk with the other end of the phone. I mean, on the text, she was like speechless.
Mm.
I'm like, are you okay?
Mhm.
She said, just give me a minute. I said, okay, give you a minute. I have chills just telling the story. She says, I have complete trust in your process.
Mm.
Do what you're called to do. Because you just saying that to me tells me that you understand completely
Mm.
what the woman in the bottle is not facing, can't face.
Mm.
So yes, you have my permission. And after that, she didn't need any other position, to go any further. So I painted her and I painted her very large. Because if she stands up,
She's not
she'd
gonna
be
fit.
like, she couldn't, she's
Mhm.
cramped in that bottle. There's no space, there's no room for anything else but whatever she's grieving and having
Mhm.
to face inside of her. And then I made the beads really, really tiny and all kind of broken because her faith, she lost her faith.
Mm.
Why would God do this to me?
Mhm.
Why would they if they loved me so much, they loved my child so much, why would they do this?
Mm.
So her faith was broken, but it was squished to like small, it's not large.
Mhm.
She's got the fire that's rising, fire that's burning inside of her, and she does not know how to get out of the fire. She's got all of that was there.
Mm.
She asked for the hummingbird. And the hummingbird, I wasn't sure how to represent the hummingbird. But once I knew that I wasn't gonna do the whole hummingbird, and I had seen an image somewhere of a bird, and it was just a part of the bird, and I thought, yes,
Mm.
that's what it is. So then I went with that idea. Okay, I'm inspired by that. I'm gonna go with that. So I did the half, and then where I happened to do it, it landed right at the top of the bottle. So the hummingbird is bringing nectar and fruit and joy, and it moves. It can go up and down and sideways and backwards, and it has so much beauty
Mm.
in the colors that it has inside of it. And I brought that out as best I could, but it's tapping on the bottle. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
And it's freedom.
Come out.
Has she seen the painting? And how did she respond?
She hasn't been able to take it home yet,
Mm.
so it's waiting for her. It's waiting for her. But this is the story that's here. These leaves was more about hope and life and new growth.
Mm.
These are the ancestor beings and spirits that have been with her, that are protecting her and wanting her to be okay. This is her son. This is her and her son. These little things, my
Mhm.
grandson and I were
Mhm.
coming home from school, and he found this little thing. And I said, what is that? And it looked like it was a wing of an insect. And then we held it, and I go, I don't know what it is. And then all of a sudden we looked up, and this tree had dropped all of these beautiful little leaves.
Mm.
And he gathered them up, and he says, oh, I want to put them in the painting. And I said, yes, let's put them in the painting. He had his own he was working on, and he put his on. And then I had to add them because that's my grandson.
Mm.
The son that she lost had 2 boys.
Mm.
So she has 2 grandsons, so I needed to represent that. She'd gone to Houston to be with them around the anniversary of the son's death.
Mm.
She doesn't see her grandsons often, and she went. And they happened to have the eclipse that was going on, and she was with her grandson with the glasses looking at the eclipse. So I
Wow.
added that to the painting.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so it's an actual healing painting for someone else that has taught me so much, that has connected me to somebody I never knew in my life that I would meet and be able to help through their process. And when she's ready, this will be hers. But it is a huge story of healing for all of us.
Yeah.
A huge story of healing and hope and faith, all of that, and grief. Thank you for listening. Yeah, anyway, I think that's it.
Yeah.
I
thank
hope
you.
you enjoyed the talk. It was absolutely
Mhm.
wonderful hearing and seeing
Yeah.
everybody's work. I really,
Just
really,
have any questions?
really loved it.
Karen?
I've asked them all.
Yeah, okay.
Unless.
Sorry, I'm just gonna.
Oh, that's even better.
It'll be a video of it. But I'm just making one a little bit closer.
Hmm,
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you.
See you next time.